the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yesterday, she fought back against the criticism.
It's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
But the effort to provide answers has raised even more questions for some. For CBS Mornings, I'm Scott McFarland.
New this morning, outrage among the president's own supporters over how the Department of Justice is handling the so-called Jeffrey Epstein files. In a series of scathing posts on Twitter, longtime Trump ally, fierce supporter Laura Loomer called for the president to fire Attorney General Pam Bondi. This all happened after a memo released by the Department of Justice and the FBI this week said that accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide, confirmed that. The Attorney General also said there is no evidence that Epstein kept a, quote, client list, despite previously suggesting there would be some kind of bombshell. CNN's Elena Treen live at the White House this morning, where this just doesn't seem to be going away, Elena.
Yeah, John, and it's not just people who are in the MAGA movement, the president's base, and I will say there's many. It's not just Laura Loomer, but many other prominent.
At least, like, the media loves hitting Trump on this stuff by constantly putting him, constantly presenting this as like him pissing off his base, promises made, promises kept, that the story continues, you know? Because that's the only reason why they're covering this. The only reason why they're covering this is because it's like a great way to hit the anti-Trump line, you know? To be like, oh yeah, he lied to his base is mad, controversy. So I guess like it's still in the news and it's still going to keep tuning people up and anger them even further.
People like Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, the list goes on, who have been really reeling from the drop of that memo that the Justice Department released on Sunday, essentially concluding, in their words, that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and that there's no so-called client list. But there's a lot of people as well inside the White House, the president's own officials, who are increasingly frustrated with how not just the Justice Department, but specifically Attorney General Pam Bondi has handled this. I mean, I spoke with one Trump advisor. They said that Bondi had bungled this case from the start by overpromising some of the findings that they were anticipating. Another advisor told me that this was a political nightmare, questioning why they released this at this point in time and the way in which they did it. Again, releasing this short memo and also leaking it to a certain media outlet. Look. Part of these problems as well that adds to all of this is Bondi's own claim back in February when she was doing an interview with Fox News where she said she had the client list on her desk for review. Now, she was pressed on some of these questions yesterday during the president's cabinet meeting and tried to argue that she was referring to the broader case. I want you to take a listen to both that interview, but also hers.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Now, look, we talked to a lot of different people following Bondi's answer there yesterday in that cabinet room who said essentially they are not satisfied by that answer, particularly given so many people in the MAGA movement, so many of the president's supporters, and including even some people in his own administration had previously argued that there was so much more to this case, particularly wanting to unearth potential accomplices to Jeffrey Epstein, not totally satisfied by this. Now, the president, for his part, John, has argued that this is old news. He kind of dismissed some of the questions on this yesterday in that cabinet meeting as a desecration. And we are told that he's not acutely annoyed with Bondi herself. He was briefed on some of these findings last week by Bondi and the FBI director, Kash Patel, but still a lot of people inside the White House not exactly happy with how this all played out.
All right, Elena Treen at the White House this morning. Thank you. With us now, CNN political commentator, Republican strategist Michael Singleton, and Christine Quinn, the executive committee chair of the New York State Democratic Committee. And just to review some of the people calling for Bondi's head here, again, it's Laura Loomer, fierce supporter of the president, putting out these tweets. She needs to be fired. She has tainted the investigation. Elon Musk, one-time friend of the president, saying, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? And then Megyn Kelly in Politico pointed this out this morning, said of Pam Bondi, her days are numbered as a member of the Trump administration. I mean, Michael, this isn't just one.
Wait, what? Scam Blondie needs to be fired? Look, we all know what it's like. Your desk is a mess. You spill your coffee. Whoops, no Epstein list. Easy mistake. YouGov question showing bipartisan agreement that it was murder. Not sure, 40%. Was murdered, 39%. Committed suicide, 20%. That is amazing. This is from July 9th. Okay? This is yet another instance where the desperate media attempts to change discourse on this issue is an abject failure. Not a single person defending not releasing the Epstein files on my half dozen or so Truth Social posts. The closest is Bannon level defense where Trump is being strong-armed. That's the minority, though. Yeah, this is like, listen, if this is an incredibly important thing for the base, okay, and it is for the Trump base, and Trump just completely botched the release after claiming he was going to do this. This is a real promises made, promises not kept moment. Okay? And I do think that people have the capacity to basically claim, Trump had nothing to do with this, or Trump's hands are tied when it comes to like ending the war in Ukraine, right? Like there are so many things that Trump claimed he was going to do and then didn't do, right? Day one, I'm going to end the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza, right? That was he hasn't done that. But at least like there's a defense for it. In this circumstance, this is something that a lot of hogs care about. And I do too. I mean, call me a hog if you want. This is something that a lot of people care about, that the Trump administration absolutely has all the power to release, and they are refusing to do so after claiming that they were going to do. Okay? This isn't like, oh, well, through a long and arduous legislative session, we were not able to get you the things that we promised we were going to get you. This is directly something that these guys claimed that they were going to do, knowing full well that it was something that these people cared about, and are now refusing to release. That's why there are very few hogs and hogettes out there who are even remotely defending the administration. One of the funniest things here, however, is that when the Trump administration gets into panic mode, as they clearly are in this, okay, because they are in panic mode overall, Trump will probably try to hit the parachute, hit the ripcord, and try to either throw like a dispersal mechanism here and try to shift attention away from this to something else in a way that like in a way that the admin, or in a way that like his, what is this audio? It's scratchy. Is it? Why is it? No one else is saying it's scratchy. I'm getting 2 guide, potentially 3 guide. Anyway, what I was saying is Trump will try to get his hog audience's attention and move it in the direction of something else desperately. Okay. Also, there's a golden Kappa train now. So Piker Broadcasting Service is brought to you, the viewers, by you, the viewers. Your voluntary donations in the form of a subscription will allow you to use emotes and also support the show. That's the only way to support the show. If you're watching the Piker Broadcasting Service and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I really like this guy. How do I support him? How do I show my support for him? Well, you can do that by subscribing. You can do that by gifting subs as well for others. The Piker Broadcasting Service is only funded by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Your subscription is in the form of a $6 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Offer me editorial independence. Piker Broadcasting Service thanks you, the viewers. What is this? California officials are failing to protect girls on the playing field and in the locker room. The Department of Justice has filed suit. Going into the replies and seeing the big bad tranny rhetoric is not working on the right wingers is honestly amazing. Oh my God, they tried to do it. They tried to do the trans thing. This is either an insane lack of self-awareness on display here, or they enjoy gaslighting us. Officials are failing to protect girls. Yeah. They're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Nice try. Why haven't you released the files? Someone said you were Florida's attorney general from 2011 2019, ? And that's when the Epstein flight logs were public. Victims were coming forward with lawsuits. Evidence was in abundance, and you did nothing. You didn't do one thing. No probes, no investigation from you. Florida, wow, but here's your chance to do the right thing, but you won't because you need to protect Trump. You aren't about protecting females at all, stupid bitch. How about you protect them from the Epstein client list? Oh my God. Oh my God, they are trying it. They're trying to do the, hey guys, I know the Epstein client list is a big deal for a lot of y'all, but have you considered trans people?
Several weeks, the Department of Education has notified the Department of Education in California, as well as the California Interscholastic Federation, that they were in violation of Title IX. They were allowing men to compete in women's sports. Now, this is after years of their being in violation of Title IX. We informed them that if they did not change, that we were going to refer these cases to the Department of Justice, and we have done.
Will you ever apologize to Ethan Nestor? I don't think I've done anything wrong to Ethan Nestor. That's my friend.
Exactly that.
Thank you, Secretary McMahon, for all of your hard work. And today, the Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against California Department of Education and the governing body for women's sports in California. We've made it very clear, only women in women's sports under Title IX. An example in California,
did you guys ban him? You don't need to ban this guy. It's fine.
He would have lost every race.
He said God is not real.
In women's sports, he won over 36 medals. Those medals should be returned to—
Oh my God. This is again. Oh, finally, the trans deflection method is failing. This is like bringing this back to my personal experience. It's like watching the fuck Hasan parachute cord being ripped so hard that it doesn't work anymore. This is precisely what's going on here. They're doing the trans people parachute cord, and people are not even remotely interested. Gunther Eagleman, shut up and resign. Sick and tired of you blatantly lying to the American people. They finally found something they're angry about than trans people being happy. I love that. I told you, we finally found something. And I said this would be it. I said this would be more impactful than even like not ending the wars. Like there are some who maybe fantasize about Trump being like more aggressive against Israel. You know what I mean? In the base. There were some who may have voted for him that are not immediately in the base, but voted for him nonetheless because they truly thought that he would be a peaceful dove. You can still continue duping those people, but this is a real schism. It's the dumbest thing to potentially have a schism over, but it's one that is obviously impactful for these people. So instead of getting them to go, instead of, making fun of them and being like, oh, you guys thought he was going to release this stuff, even though we all knew he wasn't going to release this stuff, we should welcome these people and help them radicalize in the direction of the truth. Because there are a lot of people who feel upset. W Trump. W Israel. W Trump. Hell yeah, brother. You're right. Weird time to say W Trump and W Israel while we're talking about the Trump administration refusing to release the Epstein client list. But considering we know that at least Ehud Barak was was directly involved, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak was involved with the Epstein. He was an Epstein affiliate. He's like, this chatter's like, W pedophile rapist, bro. W. Thanks, chatter. Chatter's like, W pedophile rapist not getting W victims of pedophilic sex trafficking not getting justice. I love that. Trisha Hope, national delegate for Texas, who is a January 6th activist, says, I have been to 42 Trump rallies. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's a crazy number. After the first impeachment, I drove to D.C. and spent 2 weeks walking the halls of Congress to encourage Republicans to support President Trump. I sat in the hearings and I supported President Trump. I was there the night he was acquitted. After the 2020 election was stolen, I went to see 2,000 mules. I was livid at the lack of action. God, that's embarrassing. That's so embarrassing to admit that you got duped by a Dinesh D'Souza production. God damn, dude. Have some self-respect. At least lie and be like, I wouldn't mention that if I were you, you know? I was livid at the lack of action. I contacted Dinesh D'Souza and told them I wanted to deliver copies to Republican members of Congress. They donated 200 copes. I went with a team of 4 to D.C. and personally hand-delivered each one. When it became clear that J6 was a setup, I started helping J6ers. I met with members of Congress on their behalf. I was able to get a donation of 435 American Gulag Chronicle books to deliver to Congress. She's like a trot in her her effective praxis is just doing pamphlets. Okay, this is basically the American Trotsky. I would like to write many pamphlets. I wrote many pamphlets about the American Gulag. Myself and a team organized by Trumpertarian delivered 535 copies to every single member of the House and Senate. I worked for the last 3.5 years to help free the J6ers. I organized Trump events, became a state delegate, and then a national delegate. I recently made a donation to the Smithsonian in honor of the J6ers. I say all of this to tell you I am done. President Trump's lack of concern for the Epstein victims and his callous response to the reporter's question ends my relationship with him. I will not support a man who denies justice to the victims, who in this case are children, and mocks the question. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Controversial opinion time. But maybe these people are so stupid that they literally do think trans people are doing pedophilia. Because I always used to think like, oh, they just cynically say that, like in an effort to just be transphobic. And it is transphobic to operate under the assumption that like queer people are doing pedophilia. But I guess these guys like they are honest about their interest in combating pedophilia. You know, is the noise gate turned off? No, it's not. See, you can't hear it. They say it so much, they start believing it. No, I think a lot of people I just assumed were just cynically saying that to smear trans people. Now I realize they're just incredibly stupid and incredibly hateful, and therefore they actually believe those lies. And that is part of the reason why they hate trans people. Oh my God, Axios scoop. Netanyahu chats with pro-Trump Nelk boys. What the hell? We gotta make sure that the young American manosphere is pro-Israel. I'm here to ensure that the manosphere remains pro-Israel. That's crazy. We'll look at that in a second. Hold on. But yeah, Evan Lowsworth says they finally found something they're angry about than trans people being happy. Yeah, that makes me happy that there is like something that they genuinely care about. That is cool. Okay, let's continue with this.
Now, it's a lot.
Yeah, now Trump ally Laura Loomer, who has actually demanded restructuring in the National Security Council, is calling for the head of Pam Bondi, Attorney General Pam Bondi. If Laura Loomer is capable of getting Pam Bondi out, I'm going to lose my mind. That's crazy.
Not getting quieter, it's getting louder.
It's not getting quieter, and she made a statement that many believed was accurate, which was that she was going to attempt to prosecute the individuals, whether it's Republican men, Democratic men, who were engaged with Jeffrey Epstein and doing some pretty atrocious and disgusting things against young girls in young age.
I wonder, maybe there were people in the Trump administration who legitimately thought that there weren't any like Republicans implicated, and it was just like Democrats that were like pro Jeffrey Epstein or something. And then they found out that there were a lot of Republicans associating with Jeffrey Epstein, and they're like, "Oh, we can't release this shit. What are you talking about? This is like half our donor base, and also half of the politicians as well. I'm joking. They knew that this was never going to be released from the start. And the only miscalculation here was the lack of response that they perceived. They thought people would not get incredibly angry. I think that is the only real miscalculation here. They looked at the situation and they thought, oh, they won't get mad. They'll forget about it. Nope. There will be people, as I said, that will get mad about this more than anything else. And why shouldn't they? This is a real promises made, promises not kept moment for Trump.
Young women. I mean, what type of society doesn't rally around protecting young girls and women? I've been involved with groups in the past wanting to bring and shine a spotlight on these types of issues. And my hope would be the top cop in the nation would take this very seriously. And she really isn't. And a lot of Republicans are scratching their heads, questioning why. I think this is a bipartisan issue. I think Americans want these powerful men, whoever they are, to be brought to justice.
And the president was asked about this in this cabinet meeting yesterday. Let's listen to how he responded.
Oh, God. I know. Newsom got the Jim Jeffries endorsement. Or not Jim Jeffries. Jim Clyburn endorsement. I know. He's running. Gavin Newsom is running. I will talk about that in a second.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on that.
This response was so organic. I'm going to keep it $1.50. This was such a bad response from Donald Trump. It is actually like this is one of the worst things he could have said and one of the worst things his administration has done in terms of like impacting the base, okay? I'm telling you, this is an issue of major consequence. An issue of major consequence. This is not like, oh, why do you care about this? Like, people love that you talk about this and other things like this. It's crazy that you would just be like, excuse me, we have more important things to talk about here. The only time Donald Trump is refusing to read the room is when there is something tremendously important to him that requires him to shut off that side of his brain. Because Donald Trump is such a room reader that he will sometimes say things that no other president will ever say. Okay? Even if he doesn't follow through on those promises, like, he will just come out and say it. This is one of those moments where he just straight up is like, oh, why are you talking about this? Don't talk about it.
At a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
Christine, the president's wishing it away here, but it was his own supporters,
Right.
people like J.D. Vance, not to mention the people we've all listed there, talking about the Epstein files all during the campaign. I mean, this was a thing that his people were pushing, and now he's like, nothing to see here.
Right, his people pushed it. His appointee brought it back up square in front of everyone with saying there would be prosecutions, things would be released, and now nothing. And what's a desecration is what happened to those girls and those young women. Not
Trump is hitting the no politic here. Israel number one. Israel number one. No politic here.
reporters appropriately asking questions which are not new questions but follow-up questions to what Pam Bondi had already put out there. And when you make promises to prosecute, to release information, and you don't, then all theories come up. And it's a terrible thing that there are people saying the president might be on the list. How horrible would that be? They can put all of this to rest by putting all the information out there. And you're right, this isn't Republican or Democrat. This is a matter of justice, and that is what Pam Bondi should be focused on.
Just accuse anyone who wants a list of anti-Semitism. I'm going to be very honest with you right now. That sounds so dumb that they might actually do that. That is stupid enough to like actually be something that these guys would possibly try. This will create a wave of anti-Semitism amongst many in the right in Trump's base that already was like fairly anti-Semitic, but that as a response would create new levels of anti-Semitism we have not seen in the United States of America. That would make like the pogroms in like Russian villages look like a tickle party. Okay, I think some of these dudes would just go insane. If the Trump administration actively was coming out and being like, this is anti-Semitic, why do you care about this? Do you hate the Jews? They would turn into Russian peasants, okay? The American heartland would resemble the Russian peasants that think Jews are poisoning the well and eating Christian children or something. Nelk saying, let's full send genocide. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna look at that. Yeah. Google already pulled that card on the UN. I know. That was so crazy. Oh God, that shit is so, like, what are these people doing, man? What are they doing? Like, especially if you're Jewish, like, do you have no self-preservation? Like, are you not thinking about how this looks? Are you just oblivious to reading the room? Are you so oblivious to the crimes of Israel and how it is being perceived that you still continue this, like, false association? Oh my God. Guys not banned yet? Holy Twitch glaze? Are you talking about me? What happened? I thought you guys were free speech advocates. Since when? Since when did so many people turn around and go, dude, talking poorly about Israel? Please ban them, sir. What are you, the ADL? I think the MAGA cult still has a stronghold for people to deflect on the basis of Jewish exceptionalism. I don't know, man.
Upset about with Pam Bondi. I mean, these conservatives.
Mods, hecking cancel him, mods.
Megyn Kelly. I mean, even Tucker Carlson talking about this. Charlie Kirk had a post on X, and he said, even if Republicans were on the list, would you be okay with them being brought to justice? And overwhelmingly, the responses were yes, because people want to protect the innocence of young girls and young women, and we should all be about that.
And again, it was people within this administration promising it would be released. We'll see where this goes next.
Will this guy question his source of information now? You were supposed to be arrested and banned a year ago? Wait, that guy thought I was supposed to be arrested and banned a year ago? W censorship. What is the username? I have to see what he said in the past. What? I don't like baby BB. Surprised he hasn't found a reason to on Mr. Beast yet. L. Chris. What? I was supposed to be arrested. I was supposed to go to prison. I was supposed to be executed. These guys are like QAnon. At a certain point, some of them are going to start fantasizing about, like, me already being dead and swap with, like, a body double. You know the way that, like, QAnon boomers thought that, like, Mike Pence was already assassinated by the deep state and replaced with, like, a body double, or, like, all these celebrities were already arrested and trapped in a facility, and the current celebrities that you saw were just, like, simple body doubles. Like, these guys are going to start saying that about me. They're going to be like, this is not the real Hasan. The real Hasan is in a FEMA facility, and this is just a simple clone. Can you flex in the Zoran shirt? It doesn't look stretchy. Here. My titties. My boobs. Let's finish this.
This is supposed to be about the most transparent administration ever.
What on earth is going on?
Ha!
Was Pam Bondi set up by deep state FBI career officials? Is she stupid? Is she so click thirsty that she got out over her skis trying to make news, being a Fox News star?
Pam Bondi, all of it. All those videos are saying, yeah, she's seen the videos. It's all coming out. And then now it doesn't exist.
Inject this compilation of all the conspiracy hungry Republicans losing their minds into my veins. This is the sound of a string quartet. Okay, this is Vivaldi in my ears. Oh, amazing.
I mean, what? What?
Alex Jones broadcasting from his car. Okay, so how much of a political
Yep. Nobody does it like he does.
Risk is President Trump taking by dismissing the priorities of portions of the base? CNN's Aaron Blake writes, everyone has their limits. Trump's giving them reasons to be suspect about his and top administration officials' intentions. And there's been at least some evidence of a brewing backlash. Group chat is back. I have to be honest, I remember the backlash, many minutes ago over the strikes on Iran. And it feels like that's a way more significant and important issue than that. And everybody rolled.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think two things.
Well,
seeing President Trump, this term and last term, be like a rain jacket. Some of these things just roll off of him. But here's the reality. I think we've all been afraid to say this. President Donald Trump is a lame duck president. And so some of these things we're talking about politically will not hurt him because he is a lame duck president. What I'm concerned about what's going to happen in 2026 with the Congress, with Senate. So I think some of these things are going to be harder for the Republican Party to talk about than this President Trump.
Look, I'll be honest. There's so many weird, bizarro, Addams Family-esque stories that people go down rabbit holes when it comes to the MAGA base. I've never read a Jeffrey Epstein story. When somebody complains that Donald Trump has not told us where Elvis is really living, I'm not going to read that ever, also. Because Donald Trump is right. We have Texas, and we have what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. We have
yeah, but nobody
Iran,
asked
Iraq.
Pam Bondi to make a bunch of binders to hang, to
That's
send
fine.
to the Twitterati. It feels like a
I
self-own.
think the mental health of America or Americans is much better off not paying attention to those crazy, shiny things.
Well, to be fair, President Trump has also set up his cabinet to be these sort of TV, Twitter.
Right. Hire
folks.
professionals.
Bro,
Yeah, exactly.
bro, who is this guy, bro? Get the out of here. Who is this loser, dude? Oh, guys, stop paying attention to this, please. Hey, this thing that you guys all care about, please ignore it. Please ignore the what? Blackmail, pedophilia, conspiracy? Are you on the list, big dog? What kind of take is this, dude? Yo, that is wild. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.